Welcome to TNT, baby, the naked truth with Taylor Armstrong, where I'm going to expose everything about my life, and my guests are going to come on, get naked with me, and bear it all. Now let's get naked. So Gemma,
Yeah.
one of my friends did the show Traitors. Have you heard of this new reality show?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, so
That's the new one it's the new one. It's the newest one.
yeah,
It's like an evil thing or something.
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
it's about one person, or I think there's like 3 people that are traitors.
Yeah.
So you're all supposed to be working together to accomplish things,
Right.
but then the other people are trying to undermine you. But
Oh
here's
my
the
gosh.
thing. So
Okay.
some of the things they ask you to do are crazy, like an escape house filled with spiders and snakes and stuff like that, and you have to figure out how to escape. And then the traitor is clearly trying to not let you find the keys to get out. And
They're trying
so-
to keep you in there.
yeah, and
with
my
the
friend was
snakes.
like, "Oh, you should do this reality show." But the thing is, I have a massive, massive phobia of snakes. So that would have to just be a no-go for me. And then I'm thinking, then do I just lose if they tell me you have to go in a room with snakes? Is that just, you're out?
Maybe. Well, is it okay, so could you handle like one snake?
No.
No. So
literally-
it's not even, it's like if it doesn't, like they could put you in a room with 300 snakes. Remember Fear Factor?
Yeah.
They'd be like, you'd actually have to like lay in like a coffin plexiglass thing with like 200 snakes crawling all over you.
Yeah, they did it on The View also. Like
Oh
all the
my
View
God.
girls, only one of the View girls that had a snake phobia did it. And she got in one of those plexiglass coffins with snakes. And maybe that helps. I don't know. But I literally think about snakes every single day of my life. Like it's a true phobia. It's awful. If I think that if I saw a snake,
Yeah.
I would have a heart attack and die before the snake ever had a chance to bite me. Like I'm really that scared of them.
Oh my God. Okay, that is definitely qualifies as a phobia. That
100%.
is a serious.
But why? It's not like I live in a jungle or in a place where there's a lot of snakes. I don't know
Why
why,
do you
I
think-
think of them every day.
Like, do you think, like, okay, do you always think about it at the same time? Like, are you laying in bed? Are you driving a car? Like, what's happening when you are triggered to think about the snakes?
That is a good question because it's typically when I wake up in the morning.
Really?
Yes. And it's like, I don't want to start my day thinking about snakes. It's just so bizarre. And so my friend Kyle, she got hypnotized for her fear of flying.
Yeah.
And it helped. And so I was telling my daughter, I think I'm going to look into getting hypnotized for my fear of snakes because I don't want to spend my time thinking about this and I don't know
My
where it comes
word.
from.
Do you believe in hypnotizing?
Well, I'm willing to try
I
because
know, it's so weird. I just don't know about. Okay, so because I always think the same thing because I would love for somebody to hypnotize me to stop liking potatoes. I want to like not like potatoes. I want to stop eating potatoes.
well, it works for like smoking cessation.
does
so
it really work?
I don't know. Maybe we should have a hypnotist
I would
come
love
on
to see,
and
like-
hypnotise us
I know.
on the show.
Oh my God!
We
Because I
should
mean,
totally do that. I could
that's
do
so
my
scary.
Okay, but the other thing is I need to do research on it because if the hypnosis means that he's going to like put me in a state with lots of snakes, then
Mhm.
I'm not going down that route because I'm afraid I'll have a panic attack and it's just going to be awful. So here's the other question. I am not sure why I have this horrible fear of snakes. And people ask me about it, a phobia of snakes. And I have this childhood memory, and I don't know if it's a real memory or if I've created this in my mind.
What is the memory?
So my best friend and I were around first grade is how I envision it. And,
Right.
I grew up in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
so we do have rattlesnakes and
Right.
stuff. So I'm envisioning that we're climbing a fence, and she steps into a hole.
Right.
And then the next thing I know is there's adults everywhere, and they're like shooing me away, and that she's stepped into a hole where a snake was, and that she got bit.
That sounds like that could be a real memory.
It seems really, really vivid to me, but I'm
Right.
just wondering because they say, I don't know what that's called. I don't know. You guys know what it's called when you make up your own memories, like out of fear and stuff. We'll look into it.
Yeah, let me
But
look into
people do that,
Yeah.
where they create something in their mind that never really
I
happened.
know my son read an article about it and it's like always told me about it, and he'll ask me certain things and be like, "Did this happen or did that happen?" Because ever since he read that article, isn't that funny? Also, so that stayed with him. That's how I learned about that. Like, whether your mind will actually fill in blank areas with like your own thoughts or memories to connect dots that you didn't already connect.
Well, can't I fill in like a memory of like winning the lottery or something when I was young, as opposed
Yeah.
to being like this snake moment? And
Yeah.
then I think, okay, I'm like, this girl is still somewhat in my life. I haven't talked to her in probably like 30 years, but I could get in touch with her obviously on Facebook or something. And I want to ask her about it. But then is she going to be like, I think Taylor's actually lost her mind. She's creating false memories of our childhood.
Right?
Like I sound like a nutbag.
A nut bag.
I mean,
a crazy thing to say.
I mean, after not speaking to
It's
somebody
funny.
for so long,
Yeah.
like, sending them a note.
You sound crazy,
and
like
just
a bag of mixed nuts for sure. You're like,
Right.
hey, remember when you stepped in the snake
Yeah.
bed den?
Or
I
did
think-
you?
I think your mom actually, because you were a small child though, and you lived in Oklahoma, maybe she would literally just would say like, watch out, there's snakes.
I really think I should try hypnosis.
Yeah, I think we should definitely try it. We should do it on the show.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Do you have any phobias? Do you have anything like that in your life?
I would say heights. Like if I had to choose something, and I think that's probably one of the most common.
I think so too.
But like my dad took me on a hot air balloon ride when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It scared the hell out of me. I think the whole time he kept sitting on the edge
Oh no.
of the hot air balloon and leaning over and taking pictures. And this is back when they had like old-fashioned cameras and shit. And I remember I was literally crying like, don't sit on the edge.
Okay, that would.
Like literally. So I think I was like super, just it traumatized me. I don't think he realized like how scary it was to a little kid.
Yeah.
That I thought my dad was gonna fall over, and I'm already like super visual, and I remember just being like, oh my god, like picturing him falling over the side and like everything that bad's gonna happen. But of course the air balloon went down, everything was fine. But then when we landed, the basket went boom boom and then fell over, and my dad literally rolled out of the basket.
I can't believe they let him sit on the edge. That's kind of crazy.
Well, this was, God, what, 35 years ago? There's probably like no laws, rules, no strings, no safety, anything. Now I don't know what, did they just let you get in the basket still?
Yeah, so we did a hot air balloon ride on Ultimate Girls Trip
Yeah.
season 2.
You did?
At Bluestone Manor.
Oh my God.
And they tethered us to the ground for liability purposes,
That's
for the
funny.
show.
Yeah, just in
so
case.
It was, but just as far up as we went, I started thinking I couldn't have
This
gone
is
much
too
higher.
far.
It
Yeah.
would have scared me badly to be way up there.
No,
So-
it's you're not connected to anything. Like I mean, I don't know, and I think that that's actually exactly where it stemmed from. But like even the mall, it's actually so bad that even if the mall is like has a glass railing, and I can't even like stand against the glass railing, if I'm like don't trust it. Like I think, and in my head I'm like, is the whole thing gonna fall down? Would this panel just fall out? Like, would it all go down? Like I don't know. Like what? Like, how do I trust this? Where is it connected to? Like, these thoughts actually go through my head. I think it's true.
anxiety provoking.
Yeah, it's like I'm really
terrible.
actually scared. Roller coasters, my dad and I used to do roller coasters. My dad used to take me to Knott's Berry Farm. We do the corkscrew. It was like my favorite thing. We'd laugh so hard. And I don't know, like after that hot air balloon ride.
I was going to say, was that before or after the hot air balloon?
No, that was before actually. So definitely I think it is the hot air balloon ride.
That's so weird. But
Yeah.
so many people are afraid of heights. And so
Yeah.
that's another thing on Traders, the reality show where you have to do things that you maybe don't want to do,
Yeah.
test your limits.
Right.
One of the things was jumping out of an airplane into the ocean. And I don't know how high the airplane was, but still, that's pretty scary. And I did skydiving once.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. I would never do it again. I did it for my 30th birthday.
Oh my
And
God.
it was on my bucket list. And my girlfriends, we were all in San Francisco, and they woke me up that morning, and they're like, okay, one last thing on your bucket list. Here we go. And they got
Made
this.
you do it.
Yeah, they got the skydiving for me. And so here was the interesting part. We were obviously on a budget. We were 30.
Yeah.
And so I think they got me the cheapest possible skydiving experience. The
Right.
plane was like a holdout cargo plane.
Right.
And there was like silver electrical tape on the insides of the windows.
Right.
And I'm in there, and the pilot had a parachute on.
Right.
And I'm the only one without a parachute because they clip onto you. You have to
Right,
go
yeah.
tandem the
So
first
you're, like,
time.
freaking out.
But I'm also thinking, why does the pilot have a parachute on?
Just
if
in
this
case?
is like, just in case what? I'm the only one without a parachute.
Really?
And I'm watching the altimeter as we're getting like higher and higher, and I'm thinking, what have I done? Like, I'm terrified at this point. I don't even want to do it.
Right.
But then you just feel pressure because these guys are, they like
Now
pros.
you have to. You're up there,
You're
yeah.
up there. So then they get you toward the edge. You're on your knees, and they open the door, and the guy's behind you, and he clicks his parachute, connects you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just shoved me out the door.
And that was it. You go.
That was it. He didn't go 1, 2, 3, anything. He just pushed me out. Because probably if they counted down, people are like, I'm not going.
No, yeah, they don't want you to
he just
count
shoved
down.
me right out.
Yeah,
That
they
was
know.
great. And then you free fall for a full minute, which
Oh my
doesn't sound
God,
like very
so
long.
long.
So long. And then
Oh
they
my
pull the
God.
parachute, and then you're just like drifting, and it's super beautiful. But I'm never doing it
And
again.
you're all, it is what it is. But
But
after
the
they
fear of
do it-
height, I don't think, you couldn't see that, right?
No.
No.
I mean, I've always said I was going to because it was my mom did it. It was funny. I remember being like a kid and my mom coming home from her hot date and saying, oh, I went skydiving today. And I remember just being pissed at her for like risking her life when she had me at home. Like, what were you thinking?
And with your dad sitting on the side of the basket.
Yeah, and
Your parents taking
yeah,
risks.
like I don't know what's wrong with my parents. This is why I have so many issues, Taylor. Like, this is where
Blame
my
them.
codependency came from directly. Is my parents were just like, whatever. I mean, I know we had you, but we're doing whatever we want.
I know. And then we're blaming my mom for my fear of snakes because
Yeah.
she warned me about them too many times.
That's probably what it was. It was her trying to save you.
And all goes back to our parents.
It backfired.
That's awful. No, I think that fear of heights is probably the most common phobia.
It has to be,
It
I
has
think.
to
Or
be.
spiders.
Or what about confined spaces?
Claustrophobia.
Yeah, claustrophobia.
So my husband insists that I'm claustrophobic, but because I just really like open air spaces.
Do you get scared in an elevator?
No, like I'm totally fine. Like things like that. I think I'm not claustrophobic. I can do like an MRI and all of that. Like I have a girlfriend who has to be sedated to do an MRI.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I think that's common. People,
Yeah,
But,
so
but
some people have it.
on the height thing, what about, so I'm like flashing back to Pretty Woman, how Richard Gere's character, he
Yeah.
wanted the penthouse all the time, but he
Yeah.
wouldn't go look over the edge, you know, because
Oh,
the
God, that's
top floor is the
funny.
best. Like, can
Right.
you do that? If you were staying in the penthouse of a tall high rise, could you
Yeah.
go look out?
Yeah, I mean, I do it. I just am very like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, this is scary. Yeah.
When
like,
I watch people fall, like on YouTube videos and stuff, or like jump off something that's crazy
God.
big, my whole stomach goes away, and I'm not
Yeah.
even involved. I have
yeah,
no
I
idea.
know, like literally, it's like you can feel it. You're like, ugh.
It's like-
Actually, I just saw that this morning. Some guy was doing parkour or whatever on some video that I was like mindlessly watching through my scrolling. And he jumps off, he like runs, jumps off a fence and just lands on his back on an electric box. Like, then like flies onto the floor. And I'm like, dude, why would you effing jump off of a building like that and just trust your legs are gonna catch you? I don't know. Like, it's crazy.
People are crazy.
Some of the stuff these guys do are like amazing nuts. Like it takes so much like, I don't know, guts or courage or trust in yourself. I don't know, like everything.
I don't know. I think there's
or are
some-
you just crazy?
I think maybe a little crazy. I mean, think about all the guys on Jackass, all the stuff they
Yeah.
have done
Oh
over
my
the years. I mean, they're
gosh.
nuts, is what they are. They're nutbags.
Well, I think they
It's the
just don't
theme of the
care.
day.
It's like, oh, if I die, I die. Like he just not worried about your
Plus, they're like
mortality.
laughing all the way to the bank on the whole thing.
I know, but-
actually, I think they've all turned out fine.
I know,
I
but-
don't know about mentally, but
Yeah, but-
physically, it's not like you hear about. I'm sure they've broken plenty
Well,
of.
nobody's
bones.
at home saying, man, aging sucks and this arthritis really sucks now. You know, I mean, we don't know. They're probably at home, like, seriously popping, like, Tylenol every day.
Yeah, I do. With the claustrophobia thing,
As you
I
get
do have a
older.
friend that won't get in elevators. Which
Oh,
is,
really?
Yeah, which is kind of a pain in the ass. If you're staying in a
It is.
hotel, you for sure have to get like first or second floor because
I would go out traveling with that friend probably one time.
right.
I'm so evil. So I was like at this thing and I invited this girl to a conference and she had crutches. Okay, so she had like a disability, which I asked her many times what her disability was, and she was very vague and wouldn't tell me, which I thought was so strange. But I invited her to this conference in Utah. We'd go to fly out together, and then she brings an electric wheelchair, but didn't ever tell me she was bringing an electric wheelchair. And then she was like, hey, can you get this? Can you do that? I was hauling the electric wheelchair parts like through the airport. It was hell. I learned to be humble and learn to appreciate what some people have to go through every day on that day, because traveling with a huge wheelchair was just so difficult. And she gave me no heads up. Needless to say, I would never want to go anywhere with her again unless I know what I'm in for. It was like shocking.
You do learn a lot about people when you travel with them, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, but the small spaces thing, I feel like elevators don't bother me, but if it was super confined, I'm not nuts about the MRI either. The MRI machine gets me a little freaked out too.
Really?
What about you, MRI?
I've only had like one MRI,
Yeah.
so and it didn't really bother me that much.
Well, now they have the open ones, which is so much better.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll get one now.
Yeah. Everybody get an MRI just for fun this
That's
week.
why I didn't get one.
That's what you
I
can do
didn't
this
want
weekend.
to find out. Funny.
Okay, so Connor, do you have any fears, any phobias?
I'm a little claustrophobic myself.
What, elevators or no?
Nah, not quite elevators. It's not like, I'm dying getting into one. I don't prefer it, but I had an experience as a kid that like made it, a thing where I was like playing hide and seek with some buddies, and like it was like a kind of a party and like a post soccer season party, and there was like these huge beanbag chairs, and I hid under the beanbag chair, and one of the adults sat down on it and I was like 7. I like couldn't get out from under the beanbag.
Oh
like,
my God.
Like it was like 30 seconds I was under that thing.
Do you think you were gonna die?
Yes.
Yeah, did you?
Oh my
And
God.
so like you know,
Oh.
I don't appreciate like tight caves, and like I like to hike and everything, but I like fucking draw the line at you know, a small cave. I you know, I don't like being confined by a whole bunch of other people. Like you know, I prefer not to go to a city for a long period of time.
So we're not gonna find you at a Electric Daisy Carnival
Absolutely not.
up in the front of the stage, right?
No, I will. If I have to go for event and camera and audio reasons, sure, but
Yeah.
not on my own time. Probably not.
You prefer not to.
But you know for sure that yours is not a false memory syndrome. It
No,
actually happened.
I
for
know the
sure.
house. I know how old I was. Like I know like the time of day. Like I remember it very vividly, and so yeah, no, it was not fun.
Isn't it funny?
Interesting because when you
Yeah.
have those traumatic experiences, the amount of graphic detail you remember. That's why I keep thinking that the whole
Yeah.
stepping in the hole with the snake thing that I
think it's real.
feel like I remember. I can remember what the grass looked like, which if it's Oklahoma, the grass is always brown. So maybe I just filled that in because it's always dry. But I don't know. I remember what the fence looked like. I have a lot of specifics in my mind.
Right.
So
I think
I'm
it
gonna
had
have
to happen.
I'm gonna have to give this girl. I'm gonna send her a message. Maybe I should
Yeah.
send her like a few messages first that are like normal conversations, so she doesn't think I'm just crazy right off the bat.
Yeah, unless she's crazy, she's already stalking you, watching every episode, and she already saw this before you call her, and then you reach out, and she's like, "I was waiting for your call."
I love it. Oh my
It's
gosh,
funny.
that's funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what about spiders?
My son has a crazy, I mean, crazy spider phobia. Like, I don't know what it's from. Like, you would think that I locked him in a closet with 1,000 spiders or something.
Well,
like,
did you?
No, absolutely not. But I have no idea where it came from. And it's weird. And he doesn't even, like, I'll be like, hey, can you, like, clear out whatever in the garage or move those boxes or grab a box or whatever, like, when we were moving? He's like, no. I'm like, why not? He's like, there could be spider webs on them.
We scared of spider webs too.
Yeah, no, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I honestly think it had something to do with Spider-Man being subjected to the Spider-Man movies because he was actually really into them. And then he became super afraid of spiders. I honestly think it's connected to Spider-Man somehow. It's all I can think because we were watching it all the time. And then that's also when his dad passed away. And that was like what we were watching like during that whole time. And he would watch it over again. He even had like, he was like Spider-Man for Halloween and all this stuff. Like, so I think somehow it's like some reverse, some psychological something happened during that time. And he has this crazy irrational, and not just like thick, crunchy spiders that we're all afraid of or don't want to play with or touch, but like daddy long legs and like little ones that you could just literally blow over. He's like, ah!
My friend Stacy's the same. Like
Really?
she completely freaks out.
Even
Yeah.
the little teeny, like,
Teeny.
you could take those suckers down with a gust of wind, you know?
Yeah.
They're like,
And I'm always just like, I just grab a paper towel, pick them up, and
Yeah,
get rid of
right.
them. And she's just like, "You're so brave," and I'm thinking, I'm really not. It's just a very small spider.
You're like,
I don't know why you're so afraid.
we should reanalyze this.
Well, maybe we should bring your son in when we do the hypnotist
Oh my God.
and have him hypnotize for the
Oh,
spiders.
he should be hypnotized. That would be great. It's like affected his life.
Okay, he's like me.
Literally.
We're living in this
Because he
phobia.
loves camping, but he hates spiders.
Okay, but when you go hiking, Connor, do you see snakes a lot?
Connor, hello.
Yes, all the time.
Yes, all the time.
Not that I like snakes. I really don't like snakes, but you know, if
Wait, you see them all the time?
Yeah, especially where I grew up too. Like, my middle school was on like the edge of a lake. And there was like a levee that we'd go and like do track and field for. We'd go run up the levee, right? Always rattlesnakes everywhere, and a couple kids got bit.
What?
But you know, I kind of just grew up with them in the area, so it wasn't, you know, I wasn't like dying. Not that I'm trying to go out of my way to like have a snake, but
My girlfriend Rocket Girl, she's a big
Yeah.
mountain biker, and
Yeah.
she bikes up in Laguna all the time, and she sees them up there all the time. And she's like, "You should go mountain biking with me." I'm like, "No, I shouldn't, because I'm too scared. I'm like, if I see one, I think I'll just freak out." And I know that people are like, "Oh, they're just as afraid of you as you are of them." I'm like, not true, because they
Yeah.
cannot be as afraid of me as I am of
No,
them.
it's totally not
impossible.
true. They're not even aware enough to be as afraid enough.
No.
But like, I don't think I haven't seen a real spider. I haven't seen a real snake in years.
Well, my camera crews on Beverly Hills Housewives, they were in my backyard one day, and they were having lunch actually in between scenes, and they came in and they're like, "Do not go in the backyard," because they knew I had this horrible phobia,
Right.
and so they they saw a snake back there and they were trying to get rid of it before I found out about it.
Yeah.
And so then I barely could even lay by my pool after that. I was so scared to go in my own
gosh, all the
backyard.
time.
Because it was, my whole backyard was fenced in. I'm like, how did this thing get in here? And then they
Yeah.
say they can like
Well, yeah.
slither easily like under
That's
the fence
what they
and stuff.
do. They slither in.
They slither. And I couldn't even like lay out and just play relax. I would just be looking around the whole entire time. It totally ruined my role in my backyard.
That's why the snake in children's books are always sly.
That's right.
Right? Because they
They're
just
slippery.
They just slip it and they slide in there. Actually, on my 40th birthday, we rented a really big house, and all my girlfriends and a couple guys, my husband and their couple guys, whatever. So we rented this house, and we go up, we're swimming, everything's great, and we go in. Next morning, we're going out in the pool, and there's a huge snake in the pool.
No.
But we're all in the pool, and the
No.
snake is like down floating, and it's black. It's
No.
like a black, I guess they said it was a garden snake. But it was, okay, ended up being
How big
dead.
is it?
It was like, we have pictures. It's like about that big only.
Like 2 feet?
Yeah, like maybe 2 feet and really little.
I
Like,
can't.
But we were like all in there. We're talking. We're already drinking, right? Like, we're like totally. And I'm like, what's that black thing? Oh my God. And we're like, what's that? And then Nicole, my friend Nicole's like, what? I don't know. Like, what's that black thing? We're all like, what is it, right? So we got closer to it. And then I flipped out. Like, I never thought I would react like that, but I was like screaming.
I would have been.
And then, of course, I started screaming. Everybody started screaming. Everybody exits, like, gets out. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. Except I started screaming, and they all just whoop, out of the pool. And then my husband's like, "It's a garden snake." Like, we're so stupid.
No, I'm
was
afraid of the garden
and then the water,
snake.
the water was moving, so it looked like it was,
Oh,
coming after us. We didn't know it was dead already.
I don't
That
care.
was scary.
That is very scary. And I would have, then I'd never get back in the pool again. I
Yeah.
would be totally
But the
freaked
craziest
out.
thing is to react the way you think you're never going to react. Like, you're like, I would never react like that. No, I turned into a crazy freak. I was yelling like an uncool, like, not okay person.
I do think that my fears in general have gotten worse as I've gotten older.
Me too.
And I don't know what
Yeah.
that, do you think it's because once we have kids, we are more in touch with our mortality, knowing that we need to be there for them, or?
I think it is a lot more. It's interesting, and I had a friend actually last night with my girlfriend Sheila, who's a childhood educator, very, very good one also. And we were actually talking about how, because she had her daughter later in life, so she has a 3-year-old, and I'm talking about my daughter who has a 3-month-old, right?
Yes.
And then she's like, yeah, and I said, yeah, when I had my kids, it was like, they're so cute, because I had my daughter at 23, my son at 21, 22. So it's like they're so cute and everything, but now if you had a child, you would realize not just the difference in age, but also like in the preciousness of life and your mortality and how meaningful it is. You understand the impact that everything you do, how it impacts this other little person. They're just so little compared to you in time and lessons and everything, not just size or age, right? It's just like what you know and understand about life. Like, I don't think you're really actually ready to parent until you're probably 45. Like, honestly.
I'm not ready to parent myself.
Yeah, like literally, or sometimes even, later. Like, I mean, that's why I'm excited about being a grandmother, is because when I look at him, he seems so little. Like just so little, like so precious, so like everything, and you realize like everything I do impacts him, like how I change his diaper, how I put his clothes on, like everything is being absorbed.
He's just pure of heart. He has not been scorned by the world and
Right?
and
It's just
not
so-
affected yet, and he's just receiving so much love.
And you don't want to be the
Yeah.
cause of any of those lessons.
Well, and then going back to like taking risks and fears,
Sorry.
taking risks and fears is life is odds. That's what a mentor of mine used to say. So it's like jumping out of airplanes or doing dangerous things.
Super scary.
Then you start taking those things away because of, again, your mortality, but also because you want to make sure you're there for your kids. And, you also just develop more fears because you've seen more things in life.
Yeah.
People getting hurt or people being damaged.
And I think it's easy to become codependent or overreact. I think, like, for me, after Jake died, I just wanted to put everybody in a room and never let them out.
Right.
Like, it was just so shocking. And it was shortly after my mom died, right? So it was like my mom died, then my husband died, my grandmother died, like, right after that. So it was like, so you're like, so I am the epitome of helicopter parent. Like I ended up making all their decisions for them. I ended up doing everything because it was like, I just didn't want them to get hurt.
I know.
And it's like so hard to like let go, which of course we know, like the best thing you can do is let your kids learn on their own. And so I definitely did inhibit them a little bit. It's made a lot of things harder for them as adults, but at least we can talk about it. But like that helicopter parenting, no matter how afraid you are of anything, like you can't like put it on your kid's psyche. Like you have to break the cycle somehow for like so that they don't have to like deal with what you're dealing with.
Well, and we don't want them to be living with fear all the time because
Yeah.
we put these ideas on them. I
Doesn't
mean,
mean,
Kennedy
like-
clearly knows I have a phobia of snakes, but she doesn't. I mean, she's
Right.
like, Mom, you're ridiculous. But also, I used to love to get in the ocean, and now I'm much more leery because of sharks, even though being in Laguna.
Sharks?
Yes, I
Oh
don't
my
know
God, I'm
why.
sitting here thinking like heavy waves or being pulled over in
No,
an under. And you're like,
sharks.
sharks is the most
They-
random.
I know, it's
right?
random. And
But you're
also,
scared of it.
in Laguna, of course, I know, and
Yeah.
Huntington, I know tons of surfers, and most
Well, you
of
hear
them have told
stories.
me they've never even seen a shark.
Yeah.
Even though they're out there all the time. And I
Oh my
think,
God.
well, but maybe they're just not looking. And maybe the sharks are,
Maybe they're
they're
not
just like
looking.
under there and you don't know. They have to be under there
It could
somewhere.
be. I mean, I don't think we have that many sharks in Laguna.
Well, when we had our house on the sand, we lived on the ocean for a couple years. They had tagged 800 great whites in
Really?
a literally mile stretch of private beach where we lived.
What?
And
How many?
800, and I'm like, that's just the
That's
ones
a
they
lot.
tagged, right? And so my neighbor, I was walking on the beach and I said, "Did you hear about all these sharks?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, but they're just babies." And I said, "Okay, well, how big are the babies?" He's like, 6, 8 feet. And I'm like, "But the babies are stupid. That's why I'm even more afraid because the,
The babies are
babies, they don't know." And, everybody was, "Oh, they don't like humans." And I'm like, "Well, they don't know you're human until they take your arm off."
Right.
So
And then they're
then
like,
they go,
"Oh."
"Oh, yeah, I don't want you."
Yeah,
But
after they
now
eat
you have no
your-
arm. So I'm not going for they're babies. It's like baby snakes. I think they're
Right.
more dangerous too because they
Right.
don't know and they just strike out in fear.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
Actually.
So I don't know. I'm not. And now I feel like I'm losing out on doing all these fun water things.
Because you're afraid there's
living
sharks
at the
underneath there.
beach because
Like, what about paddleboarding? Is that just
no,
totally
I get
scary?
nervous. Yes, I get nervous. Like when I paddleboard, usually I do it in the harbor.
Yeah.
Or like close
The
to the
harbor is where
shore.
you're at, yeah.
The harbor's best.
Yeah.
Plus, there's not waves. When I was in Mexico, I got knocked off a paddleboard by a big wave, and
So that's my biggest fear. I was
Yeah.
in Hawaii and we were at, we're at the Ritz-Carlton actually in Maui. We were at the Ritz-Carlton and their private beach at the Ritz-Carlton in Maui. I swear to God, they import like gold glitter or something and like mix
course
it
they
into
do.
the
It's the
sand.
Ritz.
Like seriously, like the sand is like sparkling off the sun like something I never seen before. I mean, it's literally one of my favorite beaches in Maui, but next to McKenna. But I don't know what it was with the waves. It's like my favorite beach because it's like a cove, so you can really swim far out in the waves and you just go under the waves and you're fine. Man, this wave took me down, smashed me onto the sand, drug me down the thing. Like I had sand like in my mouth, like gripped in my, I mean, it was like I thought I was dead.
Yep.
Dead. And I was like, never again. I mean, literally, it was nuts. I just like walked out to the water and it just took me and slammed. I mean, it was like being body slammed.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. It happens. When the waves get crazy in Laguna,
Yeah.
they have a lot of people have to be pulled out.
And like the last
especially
4
tourists.
years, I'm like, I think I'll stay out of the water. I don't want to go. you
Okay,
know?
so now is that one of your fears, do you think?
I mean, I'll go back because I love swimming in the ocean so much, but like, I just have to understand waves and when you should go.
Timing.
Yeah, because everyone was looking at me like I was crazy for going out there, but I had no idea like that it was heavy waves. I mean, I guess that the beach kind of just going off into a cliff instead of a nice incline should have been like a warning sign. You know, I need to be a little more educated
Yeah.
with that.
Well, they have those big drops in Laguna too.
Yeah,
They would
the
just-
big drops.
yeah,
And you're like,
and-
oh, that should have been
and
a
the
sign. The
tourists
waves were a
are-
little harsh.
The tourists aren't prepared for it. Yeah. So I hear you, and I think that came from a trauma situation.
Yeah.
So you
think
weren't
it
afraid
is.
before of the
No,
waves.
and then after that, I'm like, every time we go, it's not like I am anticipating not going swimming. I just get there and I'm like, that memory goes through my head, and I'm like, not today.
I know, that's what I feel. I feel too. Like
Yeah.
it's taking away something that used to bring me a lot of pleasure because of the fear.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it's almost
know-
like a subconscious fear. It's not even like oh, I'm really afraid of that. It's just almost like I don't feel like it, or
Mm-hmm.
like I don't want to do it. It becomes just like weird.
The shark thing is not subconscious. I'm totally like, I'm not going any further than this
The
because
shark
I'm afraid of sharks.
is not subconscious.
Not subconscious at all.
It's fully thought through.
I mean, and like in Laguna, of course, we see dolphins like every other day,
Yeah.
and they're out there having so much fun and playing. And I love the fact that the guys that are out there surfing and paddleboarding, like sometimes the dolphins will play around with them, and I
Right.
think that would be such a fun experience. But I'm a
Right.
chicken shit, and I won't go out there because I'm scared of sharks.
And we're so lucky it's like in our backyard.
I know.
We can just go.
It's
Like, we
pathetic.
don't have to go on vacation or anything.
We're just gonna have to wade up to like our waist and be done with it for a while. Work my way out little by
Just
little,
slowly get there. It's like-
overcoming our fears.
and then you'll be like that one person that gets eaten by a shark randomly.
Oh, thanks, Gemma. I feel like that is probably what happened.
I feel like that might be like, I know it's the story of my life. I don't, it could be the story of your life.
Well, I feel like too, when you're afraid of something, I'm afraid I'm going to attract it
You
because
do,
it
you
knows I'm
attract
afraid. I'm like putting off some kind of weird energy, and it's going to
Yeah.
be like, oh, she's the one. I'm going after her because
Yeah.
she's terrified right now.
Yeah, you want to be careful when they say
Animals can
manifest.
tell. Animals can tell when you're afraid.
That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
could be manifesting that and not even know it.
I feel like I manifest all kinds of crazy shit in my life
Yeah.
anyway, 100%.
I mean, I do believe in like the power of energy and thought and all those things, right? Like,
I know.
I mean, how do sound waves get everywhere? I mean, vibrations, right? Like, I mean, it's just crazy when you get down all that molecular stuff, right? Like, how much of your own fear is causing your own fear to be worse?
I know, and it is
Yeah.
the power of positive thinking. I've got the snake one, we're going to have to do some hypnosis or something because the power of positive thinking is not helping with the snakes.
Right. Or what's that new thing they call it? What is the new thing that they have that everyone's into right now? It's like something L.
Oh, it has some
LMP or PML. Or,
yeah, it's an acronym for,
And then-
it's like getting over your fears. It's some kind of a treatment you do.
yeah, and it's like they just teach you and they have you visualize things. It's almost like when we went to the wellness center. It's a little like that, right? Where you attach a positive memory to a
Yes.
So what they do is like they mentally get you to visualize or feel like something is real. So it's like my friend, her like cousin's certified in this, and she wanted to stop also eating chocolate. So she like had her visualize like vomit on chocolate and all these crazy things, and it worked for almost a year. Like almost a year, she's like, I would look at chocolate and just be disgusted.
Okay, we've got to find out what that is because we should try that also and see if it helps with the snakes. Because, so like what you're saying, attaching a positive,
Yeah.
here's one thing that I do sometimes, which is like embarrassing. But when I start thinking about snakes in the morning, I envision them, I make them turn pink and
Yeah.
turn into like a cartoon version with a bow in their hair.
That's cute.
Because I envision the scary snake and then I just make it like smiling, pink, and have a bow in its hair.
Oh my God, that's it. I'm making you an AI photo of a pink snake with a bow in its hair.
I know. I mean, that's like my coping thing I've been
Right.
doing lately, or trying to envision them being polka dotted or something, just so they turn into a cartoon
I
or an
love it.
animated, as opposed to being the snake with its mouth open that wants to bite me.
Yeah, so when you picture it and it like scares you, you're actually picturing like an evil viper.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Yeah, maybe you were like actually subjected to images of evil vipers too at some kind of a place. You know how like you just see a picture and it becomes like a memory or something?
It's horrible. I mean, we went into like a little, it's not really a zoo, like an aquarium area at one of the hotels in Vegas, and Kennedy wanted to walk through it. And of course I turned the corner and the very first thing there is a gigantic snake in a glass box. And I'm just like having
That's
a
so
panic attack, and
crazy.
we couldn't go in, and now I'm taking away some of her fun because I couldn't walk past that. And I'm just like trying not to look so I can take her to go have fun. But
Yeah.
then it traumatized me for the whole rest of the trip.
I wonder what other people's like traumas are.
I don't know. What are other big fears that people have?
My generation, we're weird with it. Like they have big objects in water. Like I think it's like thalassophobia or something.
Big objects?
Like-
Big objects in water?
Yes, like
Like sharks?
no, like if you were to look underwater and you see like the underside of a boat, that would like give you fear, or like the underside of an iceberg, that would give you fear.
But see,
like,
that goes back to your whole beanbag problem.
but that isn't me. That's just one of
Oh, okay.
like one of the things I see on the internet. And like what's the one with like there's like holes in your skin? Yeah, tryptophobia or something, or trypophobia, and that's like a fear of like holes in your skin or something.
Holes in your skin?
Yeah, that's a big one. That was a massive one in the 20.
Holes in your skin?
Yeah, let me pull up a picture for
Wait,
you
are
guys.
people envisioning they have holes in their skin? Are they manifesting that in their minds, or they actually have holes in their skin? I'm confused on this one.
I'm pulling up some pictures for you. One sec.
Yeah, we've got to
Wow.
find out what that acronym is for that treatment that your friend does? Because people have mentioned that to me
Yeah.
multiple times and saying it's also good for trauma
Yeah.
and that I should do it anyway because of the trauma we've both
What
experienced.
is it? It's not. What is it?
It's like a 4-letter acronym. We're going to figure it out.
Okay, check
know.
out the screen real quick. This is the trypophobia.
What
God,
is
God,
that?
Oh God.
So like some people will like cosplay it for
Oh God.
like for the internet where they like will do makeup and then make something that looks like this. Or there's skin conditions that are actually like
Oh
that, I
my
guess. I don't know, but people tweak out over like the honeycomb and like this kind of stuff. That's
That is bizarre.
Honeycomb
Soup.
sounds good.
super weird. But
It's very weird.
off the top of my head, that's the the phobias
That
I could
one's
think
really
of.
bizarre. Okay, Kennedy and I got locked in a gas station bathroom on a road trip once,
Yeah.
and we couldn't get, it was like the twist lock, and we could not get it to twist, and she's crying, and we're kind of like banging on the door at like louder
Trying
and
to get
louder,
help.
trying to get out, and then finally I was just jimmied the doorknob enough, and finally I was able to get out.
Yeah.
But from that point forward, she would not go into public restrooms for the longest time,
Oh
and
my
and
gosh.
she would just hold it, like wherever we were, and I would say, we have to work through this because going to the
Right.
restroom is a necessary thing. And she was so freaked out. She wouldn't get in elevators for a while after that either because she was afraid every time she went into a restroom, she was going to get locked in it.
That's so funny.
Crazy, right?
It's so funny how all these little memories, like you wonder how she remembers it. Like I wonder, like if that's like a trauma, like that she remembers, or that she can directly link to something now.
I bet she remembers it vividly
Like, I
because
wonder
it
what
went
it
on
could
for a
be.
long time.
What it could be linked to, like maybe she still doesn't like public restrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we all have like a lot of things like that you don't realize they made such a big impression. And what's really interesting about that, I think, is that it has to do a lot with our age. Like if you look at kids, like my kids, they watch things that are traumatizing like that on social media every day, like that are shocking. Like we can actually pin them out, like these memories, because, this is so crazy. I think this is what might be leading to some anxiety and stuff in young people.
Totally.
Is that they actually have so many of these trauma responses. Like my daughter still like tells me, "Oh my God, I shouldn't have been watching this thing." But like one time when I was like 13, I watched some dude get beheaded online. Like they were watching some kind of video that was somewhere and it was circulating at school, and it was like a legit in another country. It was
Oh
like an
my
actual
God.
beheading, and it traumatized her. So I think like I'm just seeing things that are crazy, like the news media. Like if there's a car accident, like when we were kids, they would just tell you about the car accident. You might see a picture of it. Now it's like full close up of the body on the ground with the cover over it. You know, like they don't care what they show, stuff that to small children could be shocking, right?
Well, and it's interesting you say that because, as you know, because I've ridden with you before, I have developed a fear of riding with other people, and I
Yes.
never had that before. I've never been in a car accident. I can't think of any.
Well, I'm not the best driver.
Well, I mean, the other thing with you is you don't know how to put your phone down
Yeah,
while you drive,
no,
which is makes me
sometimes.
so scared, and I'm
Oh
just
my
like
God.
holding on.
Well,
but
I need
it's
the
everyone. It's not just
directions.
you. I know. That's the hard part. Like you're trying to look at your map, but I can look at the map while you
Yeah,
drive.
right.
That
Yeah,
would be
when
a
we
little-
started doing that, we were a lot
it
better.
was a lot better. But seriously, my riding with my husband gives me so much anxiety
Right.
because he's super impatient, and we'll be going to LA, and you know the 405, what the
Yeah.
traffic's like, of course,
Yes.
and it's like all the
So
lanes
bad.
are completely stopped, and yet he feels the need to change lanes constantly because somehow he thinks he's going to get one car length ahead. And I just I feel like, you know how if like two cars tried to change lanes at the same time,
Yeah,
and
you're gonna
they
bounce.
hit each other from the side. I'm always afraid that's going to happen. I'm like, will you please stop changing lanes? And then I just get more anxiety, and then I get more upset, and then he's like, stop telling me how to drive, and it becomes
Yeah.
a whole thing between us. And then by the time I get to LA, we're going to an event or something, I'm a complete wreck. I have terrible anxiety,
Yeah.
and he and I are fighting because of the driving.
And I think that that's like a common response with couples. I gotta say, like I feel like that argument is actually very like common in couples driving places. And I don't know, like my husband and I, we drove all over the whole country,
That's
and it
right.
wasn't until this last couple of years, literally, he scares the hell out of me every time I get in the car. And I started thinking, like, is it because my eyesight's worse, or is it because like he's actually just becoming a really scary driver? And again, it's the switching lanes all the time, or like cutting people off, and then he always thinks everyone else is a jerk. It's like
Oh,
not
100%.
him, like that person. I'm like, oh my God, like, can we just, go the speed limit and get there when we get there? Like, I don't understand this need. And then if you're expressing that you're afraid, why is it such a big deal Like, it's not insulting. It has nothing to do with how you're driving. You know what I mean? It has to do with the fact that right now, in this moment, I'm fearing for my life, and you should care. So
100%.
can you just drive like a grandpa till we get there so that I don't feel like I'm dying inside?
I know. And then just the amount of anxiety, it's unnecessary. And especially like with my husband, he'll speed up, change lanes, and we get to a stoplight, and we're next to the same car we were next to before he went through
You're
all the
not actually
maneuvers.
get
And I'm
anywhere.
like, oh, well, you really made some big headway there with all that crazy lane changing. And then that just pisses him off, right?
Yeah.
Because then he's like defeated that all of his manly maneuvers didn't really get us anywhere, you know? And so then it just becomes a whole thing. And I'm like, I hate
But
riding
it's
with you.
literally ridiculous.
But if I drive,
Yeah.
because I would like to arrive alive,
Yeah.
I drive like a normal person who wants to be safe, and
Arrive alive.
I would like
That's
to arrive alive.
That's the
And so then
theory.
he gets completely frustrated because he's like, can you get out of the right lane? Can you go over there? Oh, what about over there? Like, and then I'm just like, stop
no.
telling me how to drive. And he's like, oh, you tell me how to drive all the time. So then it becomes a thing too.
Oh, my
So we just
God.
shouldn't be in the car together. Oh, and then, forget it if we have a driver. Because then the whole time he's telling the driver how to drive.
He is not.
Yes, he'll be like, okay, you should get out of the right lane because people try to parallel park in the right lane at, on PCH and
right.
stuff. And I'm just like, will you stop? Just let the man do his job. He is a professional driver, for God's sake. Just shut up. And then we fight about that too. So we just shouldn't be in a car together.
Oh my God.
That's just all there is to
It's like
it.
a bone of contention, totally.
100%.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
that a lot of women feel this way. I think a
Probably.
lot more women feel this way toward their husbands driving than men feel toward
Well,
their
I try
wives.
to just be quiet most of the time. Like, I bite my tongue the majority. And, like, I'm just like, we're going to get there. It'll be fine. We're going to get there. It'll be fine. And then he'll be like, why are you always looking at your phone while I'm driving? Like, you could at least talk to me. And I'm like,
Because you don't want to look up.
I don't want to look up.
Well, and I grab a hold of the armrest all the time
Yeah.
whenever I feel like he should be stopping because he
Right.
does the tailgating thing too,
Yeah.
and which scares the shit out of me too. Because then I think, okay, I try to always say, no, I'm not worried about you. It's the cars behind us because if you have to slam on your brakes, then they're not gonna know,
Right.
and then they're gonna run into us, and we're gonna be in a pile up,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm always like grabbing the armrest, and he's like, stop doing that. I'm like, I can't help it. It's because you're scaring me.
But then it's like, okay, so when did that happen? Like, when, because I did drive with you and you were very scared, but I'm not a good driver, but I really scared you. And the whole time I'm like, I'm sorry, it's okay, we're going to make it.
And you're really not that bad of a
But I was
driver.
like,
but
but-
it's just everyone with me.
No, but it had to, like it wasn't always like that. You wouldn't have made it this many years without driving yourself crazy because you'd be scared all the time.
I know my friend Jennifer, I've
So,
been
like-
friends with for like 25 years. The
Yeah.
last time she was in town, she drove,
Right.
and I was freaking out the entire time. And she is a terrible driver. She drives super fast, and I'm like, she's like, what is wrong with you? You never used to be like this. I mean,
Yeah.
she's known me forever, so I don't know where it came from.
So do you think it's just like, I don't know, because I feel like I'm the same way. I never was really scared of anything with driving in the last couple of years. So I don't know, maybe it's me too, or is that him? Because I keep thinking he's getting to be like an old man driver or something.
Well, and then John's just incredibly impatient, and I feel like the older he gets, the more impatient he's getting, which makes him drive
Curmudgeon-y.
more curmudgeon-y. and
Curmudgeon-y.
It makes him drive because he's so impatient. He gets more frustrated driving, and then the whole thing just goes to hell in a handbasket.
I think that's what's happening too. Maybe it's patience.
patience.
Because, or is it both of us like hormone changes and aging or something's going on where you're like, something's going off the wrong way or something?
I don't know. I mean, but do you ride with your kids driving?
Yeah. Noah drove and he's not a good driver at all.
It didn't scare you?
No, but I bet we were driving across the country, so he drove for like 5-6 hours straight. And it wasn't bad, but it was like straight land. It was like he didn't have to do anything but go straight.
And it wasn't in a ton of traffic.
Yeah, there was nothing going on,
Right.
like literally for 300 miles. But my daughter, she's actually a pretty good driver, and she's taught a couple of her friends how to drive, and I'm like super proud of her. Like, I went and took a driving lesson with her and her friend Clarissa, and she's like, okay, with your left hand, make sure you do that. She was like
Oh, okay.
A-type personality. I mean, I was like, oh my God, like she's way better than me. I mean, way better than me teaching her. Like, her teaching her friend was like really good.
You can forget it, me driving with Kennedy. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm scared driving with an adult, like, because she's 18,
Yeah.
so she's somewhat of a new driver.
super scary.
And she drives with one hand. She usually has one of her feet up, leg up on the seat.
Oh
and I'm just like,
no.
put your feet down, use both hands. I'm
Yeah.
just like, this isn't going to work out for us at all. And she's just, she's got a million things going on.
It's
and
like way too casual.
way too casual. Right off the bat, too. She's just like super confident. But she's really independent anyway. I don't think
Yeah.
she has any fears. I don't think she's afraid of anything, actually. She's a tough little cookie.
That's good.
I have to ask her if she has any fears. Because
Yeah.
now she isn't afraid of going and being locked in a bathroom again. So
Right.
that's gone. So I don't know if there's anything left.
Just the bathroom. I just don't want to be locked in a bathroom. Or an
I don't know.
elevator.
Okay, I think the next step, Connor, we need to find a hypnotist to come in here and talk to us about whether this is going to help with my fear of snakes. And if it is, then let's schedule it, and I'll do the hypnosis on the show.
Let's do it.
Totally.
Let's do it.
That would be fun.
Okay, well, until next time.
Sounds good.